Welcome. In this video we're going to cover how you can perform a LANGuardian system check. My name is Darragh Delaney from NetFort. So the topics we're going to cover in this video are the sensors on your LANGuardian capturing traffic? Check if you're getting usernames from Active Directory. Set your SMTP server so you can get email and alerts. Add a distribution list for alerts. How you can configure to get the system updates and regular updates. Configure your sensor and IDS settings. And then lastly, we're going to cover customizing for report filtering. So I'm now logged on to my LANGuardian. So first up, let's check if our sensors are capturing traffic. Now looking at my dashboards, I can see in the graphs here, I have been receiving traffic into my sensor, and my reports do contain data, so it looks like I am capturing traffic. But to double check, click on the gear symbol, go to sensors. And for each sensor you've got configured, I've just got the one. Check if the link is up. You got bandwidth coming in onto that, so I got about 40 megabits a second. I am getting it's connected to a spanner report, and IDS and traffic monitoring is running. If you have multiple sensors, you need to check each of them. The MAC address here is the MAC of the sensor interface, so very useful if you're trying to figure out what port it's connected to. And if your link is down or you're getting a no status here under span, you might want to go back and check this video on how to set up a span port. So for me, everything looks good. I am capturing traffic. So the next setting I want to check is my Active Directory integration. This allows me to see usernames and reports. So again, click on the gear symbol, go to settings. Under the modules here, I want to check out Active Directory. So I've got a single domain controller, it's been added and the status is green. So it looks like it has been successfully added and a query is scheduled. The other setting down here, you can leave on weekly. That's when we capture the full usernames. We just cross-reference the Active Directory information. You don't really need to change that. The main thing is that all your domain controllers are listed here, and that each domain controller listed is using the Windows Management Instrumentation as a query type, and that the status here is green. So I've got one domain controller, and this setup is correct. This looks like it's working correctly. The next setting I want to check is my email. So if I want to get alerts from the LANGuardian, for example, if I had a ransomware outbreak, or if I want to get a daily report, I need to have the email settings set correctly. So to do that, click on the gear symbol, go into settings. You want to go into email and alerts configuration. Click on your SMTP settings. And here you set your relay. I actually haven't mine set up yet. But for a relay, you need to type in the IP address of a server or host name that is able to accept accept email from LANGuardian. So an Exchange server with SMTP enabled, or if it's external, just some SMTP server that can route our email. Put in a if it requires a username, password if it's required to authenticate against the relay server. A port if it's usually port 25, but if it's a different port specified there, and a from address, so what email address you want the emails to come from. So set those and save your changes. So next up, now that we have our email configured, we want to set a distribution list for the alerts to go to. So to do that, we go into settings, we go to the email and alerts configuration again. I've actually just set up already, but let's go through the motions of setting up a distribution list and associating it with our alerts output. So we add a new list, and I'm going to just call it alerts. Let's just remember from before, and put in an email address. So I want alerts to go to this address, and you can also comma separate and put in another. I'm just going to leave the one. Don't worry about the reports or the schedule. For alerts, you just need to specify the emails that the alerts go to. Save that. Then you need to go to configuration, and in the alerts drop down, because I've only one distribution list created, there's only one option there. But if you had multiple, make sure that you select the correct distribution list so that where your alerts should go to. So mine set to alerts, that looks fine, and save that. So that's my alerting setup. The next setting I want to check is my system receiving updates. So we publish software updates, and we also publish updates for certain databases behind the scenes, like there's intrusion detection, signatures get updated, there's a website watch list, there's a reports. So to check that, click on the gear symbol, go to settings, scroll down to the bottom here, and you've got a LANGuardian software update. Now a quick test to see if you're getting updates is just try and run a manual update. These updates come in automatically, but if you try a manual update, it'll go out and check and see if there's anything new available. This is the software version you're running. I'm getting a message here say I'm running the latest version, so yes, I am able to receive updates. If you can't get updates, you need to check can your LANGuardian's IP address access. If you go to update settings, it needs to be able to access these URLs. Or if you use a proxy server, you need to specify your proxy within settings, and you have got an option in here for setting a proxy server. So if you use a proxy, you need to set that there. So make sure your system can get updates. If you're not getting updates, your system is not going to be able to detect the latest threats and vulnerabilities. So the next thing we want to check and tune is we're going to go back into sensors, and we're going to configure sensor 1. So earlier on, yes, we could see we're getting traffic, but we can also tweak things in here. So if I go to edit the sensor settings, a few things to watch out for here. Firstly, you can give it a description. So I'm going to call it core switch sensor. IDS is enabled, traffic monitoring is enabled. One of the crucial things to check here is that your local subnets are set correctly. So this is a list of IP addresses that you use internally. So if you use 192s or 192.168s or 10 addressing, that's already covered. You don't need to change anything here. However, if you're using public addresses internally within your network, you do need to add whatever blocks you use to this list. You also need to check that list. If I go back here, you need to go into configure IDS as well and set that list here under HomeNet. So that sets the perimeter of your network. What subnets do you use internally on your LAN? So in my case, because I'm using 10 addressing, that's already covered. I don't need to do anything else there. The final tweak or thing to check is, have you done any customization? And there's one I recommend, which is you add report variables for your internal network, and then the opposite, which is the external networks, or what's outside your firewalls. So to do that, go into report variables. Now I've actually them already set up here. I've network external and network internal. Let me delete this one and recreate it so you can see the process. In fact, I'm going to delete both of them. So if you've got a new system, you won't see any report variables listed. So to add one, just click on the add variable option, give it a name, so network internal. It's just remember the text, there isn't a drop down like that. You'll need to type in a name like network internal. Put in the IP ranges of all subnets that you use within your network. So if you use private addressing, public addressing, whatever, make sure you have a full list here. So that's what's inside your firewall. Add a second report variable called a network external. You put in the same list of addresses, but you put an exclamation mark at the start. That signifies not. So anything that's not part of these subnetworks or these subnets are outside. They're external. We don't trust them. So put them in and the exclamation mark and save that. So that's those added. Those are very useful within reports. So just for an example, if you go to applications in use, if you select the source is external and the destination is internal, this shows you what's coming inbound through your firewall. Very, very useful report. And then I can check here. So there's tiny amounts of some bit torrenting running here, but very small amounts. Looks like my network is pretty secure. So there are the top 7 things that you should check in your LANGuardian, whether it's a brand new install or maybe you've installed for some time and you just want to check the core components. They're the 7 things we recommend you to check.